Welcome into Outkick the Show, Friday edition. I hope all of you are having fantastic Fridays wherever you may be across this great country or this great land. Your boy is here to save you from the stupidity that all too often and panic and fear porn that all too often characterizes the modern media. Let's start right here. It disappoints me how few people are willing to actually put in the time to go to watch primary sources. So this morning, after I had already done a 3-hour radio show, and after I had already written a 3,500 word mailbag, and after I had already done a 30-minute interview locally with my buddy Chad Withrow, Jonathan Hutton, on the Midday 180 here in Nashville, I sat down at my computer, already having worked 8 hours before noon, not to brag or draw attention to myself, but that's what your boy does. And I saw that Florida Governor Ron DeSantis was going to be doing a live press conference with the mayor of Miami and himself. And so seeing that everyone was panicked about the state of Florida and what was going on there, I decided that I wanted to watch the press conference to get actual data direct from the leaders of the state of Florida. And I don't know why nobody else ever watches. I don't know why the media doesn't cover the press conferences. I think it's because it requires actual work as opposed to just retweeting people. But there were a couple of things that I thought were of note. First of all, the average age of infected people in the state of Florida has dropped by nearly 30 years. Why is that significant? The average age is 37 years old. Because if you are under 50, you have almost zero danger from this coronavirus. If you are under 50 years old, you are more likely to die driving to work than you are from the coronavirus. If you are under 24 years old, you're more likely to be struck by lightning than you are to die of the coronavirus. And so that was an important detail. 65%, I believe is what he said, of all of the patients are under the age of 45 in general. And almost no one under the age of 45 has, like I said, significant issues. But also the number of infections inside of nursing homes, which is where half of everybody has died of the coronavirus, have plummeted by 22% in the state of Florida. And right now there are 15,000 available hospital beds in the state of Florida. That's more than were available in early March. So we are not dealing with any sort of crisis right now in the state of Florida. I understand that the media has put back up the coronavirus tracker because the protests and the riots and all the negativity from there is gone and they need something new to terrify you with. But this is a big deal, all right? The fact that there are more hospital beds available right now than were available in early March. The fact that there are more hospital beds available right now in the middle of April. And the fact that the rate of death has not skyrocketed in any way in Florida, despite the fact the state has been open fully for over a month now, essentially. Also, as if that were not enough, let's look at what we've actually seen in other states. For instance, today, as I am speaking to you right now, everyone is now praising New York. New York had more deaths from the coronavirus today than Florida did. Let me repeat that. New York had more deaths still today from the coronavirus than Florida did. Remember Georgia, how everybody was going to die in Georgia if the state opened back up? The number of deaths has continued to decline in Georgia as well. Same thing has been happening over time in Texas. More people are getting sick, but a lot of those people that are testing positive because the hospitals are opening back up. And in order to have any kind of elective surgery, you go in and you get a test. The number of people who are asymptomatic and have this virus has always been high. And now we're catching more of the asymptomatic people because a lot of people have to get tests to go back to work and because a lot of people have to get tests to be going into hospitals for elective surgery. So if you look at the actual numbers, I tweeted them out. The overall death, even since last week in this nation, was down 26% yesterday over the week before. The overall curve of death is plummeting. We are down 80% for deaths from the coronavirus in this country since April, since the end of April when they peaked. All of these are facts that in theory should be trumpeted loudly because they reflect actual reality on the ground as opposed to fear, which is designed to make you believe that you can't go about living your life. My point has been straightforward for months now. I have lived my life as I have always told you to live your life. I took my family down to Florida for May. I'm going to take my family back down to Florida for July 4th. My kids are in summer camps right now. All week, my kids have been in summer camps. They're in summer camps again next week. If schools were opened, I would take my kids there. If football games were being played this weekend, I would go and I would take my kids. The truth of the matter is, I am talking about actual facts, and there are a lot of people out there that don't want to talk about facts. They want to talk about emotions, and they want to scare you. And so the reality is, the worst of the coronavirus has passed. The number of deaths are declining precipitously. There is a bigger economic threat in this country from over 40 million unemployed than there is from the actual coronavirus, okay? And I'm going to happen to look over here. I'm going to have to block people if I happen to look over and I see you and I think you're living the BAP lifestyle. I don't skew facts to fit a narrative. I use facts to share what the reality is. People, you don't skew facts to fit a narrative, all right? You skew feelings to fit a narrative because facts matter. The more data you have, the more reliable your data is, okay? This is not complicated. People out there are buying into fear because they want to buy into the fear porn, because they enjoy it. The larger your facts are, the larger your data set, the more impossible it is to skew things. Using anecdotal data, it is easy to skew things. Oh, well, I can tell you that not one person under the age of 18 has died in Florida. That's a fact from the coronavirus, okay? I can tell you that more people over the age of 90 have died in Florida than have died under the age of 65. That is a fact. But I can also tell you, if I wanted to scare you, I could go find one random case out there of a 40-year-old who was 100% healthy, people thought, and he died of the coronavirus, and therefore everybody's going to die. That's what happens on social media. People share things that aren't representative, that represent fear, anecdotal evidence, as opposed to actual evidence. All right? Facts matter. As I have been saying, you are all entitled to your own opinions. You are not entitled to your own facts. And by the way, thank you guys for responding so positively to what I am saying. We are right now, as I just checked, the number 5 podcast in sports in America for the morning radio show. This show, which is primarily live on Periscope and Facebook, which tens of thousands of you are watching every single day now, it is right now the number 25 podcast in America. This thing of me talking to you right now, we have the number 5 podcast in America, and we have the number 25 podcast in America for all sports shows. And we haven't even officially launched the Outkick Podcast Network, which when we do is going to be an absolute leviathan. This has been the best week in Outkick history. Millions of you are reading the website. Millions of you are downloading the podcast. Millions of you are sharing our stories and reading us on social media. And I think the reason why that is happening is because so many people are crying out for an antidote for all of the fear porn that is being shared on a day-to-day basis out there. I'm not trying to tell you anything other than what the facts are. You can make your own decisions. I'll tell you exactly what I'm doing, and I will tell you as well what I would encourage everybody to do, but you make your own determination. I trust you to be smart enough to listen to the data and understand it and not allow your emotions to run wild. So that is the latest on the coronavirus. Hopefully, I think the big question, people say, oh, can you be negative? I want you to be negative. I think the big question is, how low can we go? Right? I don't want to go full limbo on you, but the virus is not going away without a vaccine. The virus is going to continue to spread. 80% of the death has gone away since April. How much lower can we go? We probably can't take it to zero, not and have a functional economy, not and have people get back to work. So the balancing act is, how low can we go while also allowing people to be able to go back to work? And I don't know what that number is. I don't know how much we can continue to go down. I don't know when it'll plateau. I don't know the answers to any of that, but I can tell you that we've seen no death spike as a result of Memorial Day. And we haven't seen any death spike as a result of all the protests and the riots and all the other people that were out in the streets. So that to me is a good sign about our availability to have a lot of people in stadiums and a lot of people in baseball stadiums and for sporting events this fall. So we'll see exactly what the impact is going to be. But here's the other thing. A lot of people in sports media are getting obsessed with sharing positive results, people who test positive. And I just said in our group chat for all of our writers at Outkick, I said, do we really want Outkick sharing every single time somebody tests positive for the coronavirus? Because it's inevitable, especially for athletes who are going to be asymptomatic. I don't know that that's a worthy pursuit. I don't know that it's actually news. If every time somebody tests positive for the flu, it's not news. Yet the flu, statistically, is more likely to kill a young person than the coronavirus is. So if, as a media industry, we would not, every single time somebody tests positive for the flu, run out there and talk about it, why in the world is it a story when people test positive now? And let me say this. I would even make the argument for you that players testing positive now is actually a positive for the season. Because once you have players start to test positive, you start to get herd immunity in the locker room, which means that a virus is less likely to spread when the season actually begins. So if you were sitting around right now, honestly, and you were a diabolical win-at-all-cost coach, you might be thinking to yourself, I want my entire team exposed to the coronavirus right now so that we don't have any guys miss games once the season starts and we can have a huge competitive advantage. I want you to think about this. We got diabolical coaching geniuses out there. The best way to ensure that your team is 100% healthy when the season starts is to have everybody exposed to the virus already have it before the season actually starts. Now, look, I don't know if anybody's going to actually do it because I think they would get killed on social media because people would be like, oh my God, all this coach cares about is winning. But the best way to ensure that your team has a competitive advantage during this season coming up is to ensure that as many of them have already been exposed as possible. So on the Friday before a big weekend of football, your quarterback doesn't suddenly turn up positive and not be able to play. And I've been saying this for a while. Think about the challenges involved because the vast majority of athletes are going to be asymptomatic. Think about the challenges that would be involved if before your coach, your best player, is about to play in the biggest game of the season, if they actually go out and get positive. Think about if they're asymptomatic. Are you telling me that Patrick Mahomes, the night before the Super Bowl, if he tests asymptomatic positive for the coronavirus, that he's not going to play? And by the way, some of you who think this is crazy, I don't know if this was a total crazy idea that my parents bought into, but I'm curious how many of you had it. As a kid growing up in Nashville, we had chickenpox parties. My mom, who was a microbiologist, pretty smart, she looked at strep throat cultures for a living. So she used to take our own cultures for us when she thought we might be sick and then take them into the lab with her in the state of Tennessee and look to see whether or not we had whether we had strep throat. When I was a kid, like 5 years old, 6 years old, my neighbor got the chicken pox and my mom made sure that we went over and had a party with him, a kid's party, so that everybody got the chicken pox at the same time. And the reason why, the idea behind young kids getting chicken pox back in the day before the vaccine was that if you got chicken pox as a kid, it was much less dangerous than getting chicken pox as an adult. So for everybody out there watching right now on Facebook or on Twitter, did anybody else out there, just say yes if you did. Did anybody else grow up with a mom like this who was like, go get chicken pox, kid. I don't want you to be sick. Just say yes on Facebook or on Twitter. So I'm sure that I'm not crazy. They have vaccinations now, but almost all of you are saying yes right now, that a lot of you did the exact same thing as me. And chickenpox is tougher on kids than the coronavirus is on young, healthy athletes. So why couldn't somebody have a coronavirus party as an effort to try to protect his entire team from infection later in the season? Again, it's diabolical. It's a little bit risky, but there's a chickenpox party precedent out here for what's going on. And look at all the yeses rolling in. A ton of you did it too. I know this was a big deal in Nashville, Tennessee. Everybody did it back in the early 80s. And by the way, you want to talk about a tough run? Your boy had the chickenpox. I was at my friend Neil Rager's house. We were hanging out. My mom was going to come get us and take us to McDonald's. I remember this like it was yesterday. I was so excited. I was at my boy Neil Rager's house, age of 6, first grade. I think I was at his house because his mom had wanted me to give him the chicken pox. And so he had the chicken pox too, but he didn't have very bad of a breakdown. And so you wanted to get it young as opposed to old. We're hanging out at his house. This would have been back in the 85, good old 1985, back in Stranger Things days. I'm hanging out at his house. I go out into the backyard because he has a German Shepherd named Casper. Casper, I reached to pet Casper at the age of 6 back in the 1985, and out of nowhere, Casper leaps up and bites me across the whole face. And as I lean in, you can see my otherwise ruggedly sexy face is marred a bit by a scar here. I got bitten by Casper, the not friendly German Shepherd, at the age of 6. Big bite. I could see my cheekbone, skin hanging open. My lip was ripped open. I had a hole in my cheek. I was rough shape. I have to go get stitches. I have to go to the hospital. While I had chickenpox, I got bit by a dog. Why did Casper do it? I still don't know. I haven't trusted dogs since. I was 6. I didn't do anything to him. Why, Casper? Why? I felt like Nancy Kerrigan before I even knew who Nancy Kerrigan was. But your boy survived chickenpox and a vicious assault by a German Shepherd happened at the same time. And so then I got run over by a car a month later. True story. It was a rough year back in the 85 for me. Why do you think I'm so tough now? Because I got the chicken pox my mom intentionally got for me. I got bit by a German Shepherd, and I got run over by a car all in the space of like a month and a half. Had to wear a boot. It was ridiculous. That was a rough stretch that I was under. Anyway, the point here is there could be a competitive advantage if everybody got sick beforehand, and we shouldn't be panicking over the fact that guys are getting sick when they're not even getting sick, they're asymptomatic. By the way, my wife is tough too. The other day, I'm not kidding about this. The other day, she had our 5-year-old in the backyard. She's been trying to keep the boys active back during the quarantine. She had them flipping tires in the backyard. I swear to God. I walk outside. My 5-year-old is in his underwear, tennis shoes, and a T-shirt, flipping tires in the background, while my wife is standing there telling him to go across the entire backyard flipping tires. So, I'm not sure that my kids are going to be tough, but I am sure that my wife will kick their ass if they're not. All right, couple of other things out here. I keep saying this. 85 Tough is a great T-shirt. I saw that, 1985 Tough. 85 Tough is a great T-shirt. We also had, 85 was an interesting year. That was, my family got a 1985 Volvo station wagon. It was like a maroon, sort of like a Texas A&M, Mississippi State maroon. And that was my first car. By the time I was, whatever it was, when I was 16, I got to start using that car. A 1985 Volvo station wagon. Now that was a tough-ass car. That car was like a tank. Before they had Hummers and before they had you could literally, I think, in the 1985 Volvo station wagon, you could drive through like a stainless steel wall and the car it would barely even like nudge, right? Like that thing, it was an absolute tank. Unbelievable. Okay, so on top of this, I gotta say, I think that Major League Baseball is insanely dumb, all right? Major League Baseball is right now alienating all of their audience. They are managing right now to completely find a way to, whether you're a casual fan, a hardcore fan, it doesn't matter who you are. They are right now finding out a way to alienate everybody. 60-game season, the players come back with a 70-game offer. I don't understand how they don't immediately say, okay, let's make it 65 and let's get started. This isn't in any way a difficult decision to make, all right? This is insanely an easy choice to make. There is absolutely no difficulty here. The difference in cost between 60 and 70 and 65 is small compared to the overall value of the brand. This has been insanely bad. And I will just say this. I believe this is emblematic of a larger issue, which is sports are losing out on the fact that they exist almost entirely. Almost entirely, they exist for fans. And so if they are not going to be able to understand that, the idea that the players look good or the owners look good or anyone does, I think sports are in for a rough go of it this fall. Because I think a lot of fans, if they're going to make it politics by any other name, if they're going to make it social justice warrioring by any other name, a lot of fans are going to say, screw it. I learned in the months that we didn't have team sports that I can find other things to do instead. And this is a bad look, whether you're an owner or a player. They have gotten used to the idea that franchise values always go up. They have gotten used to the idea regularly. They have gotten used to the idea that franchise values only go up and salaries only go up, and that is not a sign that makes sense for business. Remember, back in the 1950s, I could have come on and I could have told you, hey, there are 3 things that are always going to work in sports in America. Baseball, horse racing, and boxing. Those were the 3 most popular sports in the 1950s. Baseball's barely hanging on right now with its fingernails. And I think there are going to be some major body blows in the business of sports coming up soon. All right? So, as you break this down, this is going to be a major issue for baseball going forward. It should have been resolved a long time ago. This is lunacy. And yes, I believe the best option out there was for everybody to go 50-50. I think the first offer was the best one because I think there's a good chance fans are going to be present before all is said and done. And if you split directly 50-50 revenue, you would have gotten to play 82 games or whatever the heck it was, half of the season. I think players would have made more money that way than they're going to end up making this way. Finally, as we head into the weekend, I believe that there is a really great position that the NFL finds itself in with Colin Kaepernick. I believe if the NFL, if any team offers Colin Kaepernick, it cuts his legs right out from underneath him. The smart play for the NFL is to have a team publicly make an offer to Colin Kaepernick to be a backup. Because the minute that happens, Colin Kaepernick is not a martyr anymore. He's just a dude on the sideline with a clipboard because he's not going to be a starter. There's no available starting jobs. Cam Newton is a much more accomplished quarterback, and Cam Newton doesn't have anything at all right now that is in any way a desirable situation. And if Cam Newton can't find a job to start, there's no way Colin Kaepernick's going to find a job to start. Andy Dalton is a lot more accomplished historically than Colin Kaepernick, and he can't find a job. And so as you go through and analyze this, I believe it's going to actually be in the best interest of the NFL to publicly make an offer to Colin Kaepernick. Look, Jameis Winston has proven at least that he can be a member of the 30-30 club. And if I had to decide right now between Jameis Winston and Colin Kaepernick, I don't find that to be a very difficult decision. Jameis Winston couldn't even get $1 million contract in the offseason, and he started the last 5 years for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's been in the league, and he's young. I think if you look at the data, the minute that Colin Kaepernick gets an offer, he's painted into a corner. If he takes it, he's an irrelevant backup quarterback. If he turns it down, nobody can argue that Colin Kaepernick ever got blackballed by the NFL again. Either way, his martyrdom is over and his legitimacy vanishes. And I think Kaepernick knows it. The NFL ought to call him on his bluff right now. All right, final thought. We are in the process of exploding Outkick across all platforms. We did an analysis of who reads Outkick and who consumes our content. What percentage were either in college or college graduates? They were blown away by the data. 85%. 85% of the Outkick audience that is regularly consuming our content is either college graduates or in college right now. That is off the charts relative to most media. So for everybody out there who loves to pick on the Outkick audience, and they love to pick on you guys, oh, you guys are stupid, you fall, like literally, we did the data analysis, and we have one of the most educated audiences that exist anywhere in sports. And off the charts levels of education, the average income was off the charts. So thank you for being rich. Thank you for being educated. Thank you for being my audience. And also, inevitably, thank you for outkicking your coverage and ending up with so many hot wives and girlfriends across the Outkick universe. I've said this before, but it remains true. I have to hold the record for number of good-looking women who take my picture with a dude. I'm going to be down at the beach soon, out in public again. And when I'm down on 30A, which is already probably per capita, maybe the best-looking women anywhere in the world, maybe living on 30A, the number of times that a good-looking girl comes up to me with her boyfriend or with her husband, and the boyfriend or husband wants their picture taken with me, and the good-looking girl takes it, has to be off the charts. Has to be off the charts because the women don't even know how to take pictures of their husbands or boyfriends because they're so used to being in the pictures themselves. They're like, how do I do this? I've never taken a picture of my husband with anyone other than me. All right. I appreciate all of you. My name is Clay Travis. DBAP unless you need to SBAP. Have great weekends. Get the economy roaring. Get back to normal. If you're young and healthy and you want to go out and drink in bars and restaurants, stay away from old people. In the meantime, I hope all of you continue to consume Outkick. Thanks for making this one of the best weeks we've ever had. DBAP unless you need to SBAP. Kisses. I'll see you guys. Maybe this weekend if something happens. Otherwise, I'll see you on Monday. See y'all. Thank you. Thank you guys, Facebook.